Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my shop. It was Father's Day this weekend in Dave's garage, and I have 4 kids of my own. And you know what that means? 4 times as many presents. And among the standouts this year was my very own YouTube play button awarded for reaching 5,000 subscribers, awarded to me by my own daughter. It's her signature on it, and it's mostly cardboard, but I have no other reason to suspect it's not otherwise entirely legit. You'll note it also calls out my official status as the best dad ever. That makes this one super rare and all the more desirable, of course. And that's not just this year, that's ever. So take that, Gregory Peck, and Do Kill a Mockingbird. What else went on today? Well, my oldest has been asking if he and the second oldest can take Grandpa's car out for a drive. The one that my dad bought new in 1969 and that we still have. The one so rare that you've never heard of it. The one that's been my car for 36 years since I inherited it and learned to drive in it. Back in the 80s when I was a teenager, I drove that car to A&W and developed a crush on our cutest car hop, to whom I've now been married for 25 years. My dad passed away almost as long ago, and the car has since had a 2,000-hour frame-off restoration. So for fairly obvious reasons, the car is fairly near and dear to me. What is it? It's a 1969 Pontiac 2+2 with a 427 and a 4-speed. Factory rallies, redline tires, F40 suspension, and it currently runs down in the 12s, which is terrifying in a car that old. Here's a quick look and a lesson, and I'll give you a full walk-around tour of the car right after the kids drive it. So, a couple of young guys, a big block, and a 4-speed. What could possibly go wrong? Did I mention that neither of them has driven a stick before? So I drove us out of our neighborhood. After all, most accidents happen near home, so logically, safety first. Get away from your own home. Then I handed it over and let them each have at it. Let's see how they do.
Okay,
So clutch all the way in.
Okay.
Release the parking brake. And there's nobody behind us.
Is it in one or is it in neutral?
Over and up is first. There you go.
Okay.
And just slowly let that left pedal out once you're off the brake. Off the brake first.
Let it out a little bit?
Yeah. A little more.
Okay, and then I can feel it creeping.
Yeah.
Now what?
Give it a little gas. And then let the pedal out the rest of the way.
Pretty good start.
Yeah, you need to stumble woods actually.
Okay, so now I want to go to like gear 3.
Speed up some more. And then it's up to the middle. Clutch in first. Up to the middle. Yep, and then clutch out.
The brake.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Brake first. There you go. Go stabilize everything first. Yep.
Okay. Now I can release the brake.
Well, you have to, and then go to the clutch right away.
Okay. And then slowly start releasing the clutch.
Yep. You want to put it in first gear first?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Sorry. You're right. There
So
you
I'm
go.
in 1 now. I just release the clutch.
Yep.
Okay.
Slowly. Cool. Okay, you can go to second gear.
Okay. So foot off gas.
Yep.
Foot down on clutch.
Yep.
And pull this down.
Yep. And clutch back out. There you go. And give these guys a wide berth up here.
Some cushions on behind me before I do a very wide center road slow drive.
Third probably.
Alright, so that
up
is
and middle.
Up.
Clutch in first and then up and middle. Yep, perfect.
Then do accelerate that hard, but this pedal's really sensitive.
It is. Okay, start braking and signal and then clutch in left. Or clutch in all the way, sorry. And then put it in. Okay, that'll work. Clutch in, clutch in, clutch in, clutch in, clutch in.
Oh,
Yep,
you're right,
there you go.
You're right. Clutch in the brake.
There you go.
Alright, so now I can put foot all the way on this,
Wait.
release clutch.
Well, no, that stops the engine.
It does stop the engine. I need to put it into neutral first.
You need
and
to
then release clutch.
Yes, indeed.
Got it.
Okay, that's perfect.
What do I do now?
Parking brake.
Okay.
Push it down. We're set. I think they did pretty darn well for the first attempts at rolling out with a manual transmission. I know they did a lot better than I did my first time out in a manual. I stalled it so many times that the battery died, and from there on out, each time I killed it, we had to push start the old C10 pickup and then jump into it like Ghost Rider style. I had resolved myself to what I figured was a reasonable worst case. It was going to cost me a clutch disc and a weekend under the lift to replace it. But I figured that was a fair price to pay to let these kids, who are now literally the 5th generation of my family to have been in the car, to finally drive it. And yet, they did so well that there really was no wear and tear at all, so I was pleasantly surprised and really quite proud of how well they did. I think it helped a lot that we found a video with a good clutch animation, and then I explained how the clutch is used to slip engage the transmission and drive shaft, but in words that conveyed how I understood it and visualized it in my own head. Since I assume my kids think in a similar manner to me, at least in some ways, my explanation seemed to make sense to them in a way that gave them kind of a leg up when it came time to actually trying it. No pun. In terms of actual driving, they've both driven a John Deere Gator pretty much since they were toddlers, and by a young age they could each wheel that thing around like pros and back up and swing the arm around, the whole deal. I honestly think that driving at a young age helped lay an early framework in the brain somehow that gets tapped when it comes time to learn to drive for real. In addition to this black coupe, I also own the one and only 427 4-speed convertible car built that year. It's got not only the numbers matching the engine, transmission, rear end, of course, but it's also serial and date code correct down to the original water pump, alternator, and carb. It's the only one ever made, and it's never traded hands besides when I bought it from a dealership owner that took it in on trade back in the 1980s. He knew what it was, set it aside, and then it literally took me over 20 years of hounding him to get it to sell it to me. So I have no idea what it's worth. But it's also far from done. And it is the real deal, and it's bone stock. I literally found NOS date-coded spark plugs for it. Not repros, but 50 years old, new in the box, dusty on a shelf in the back of some old small-town hardware store. So that's the level of originality I'm shooting for with that car. So when you see the few deviations from stock that I've made on this black coupe in the name of safety and convenience, just know that the red convertible remains 100% original. It's time to take a closer look at the car itself. Here's a detailed walk around of the car, the engine, and the interior. I hope you enjoy it, and if so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks and good night.